this was last week, but I haven't talked to you since then. Kyle Shanahan did a lot of stuff the last 7-8 days. What do you think of what he did?
Yeah, there I think Chris wrote a really good article today on this, and it really hit on a lot of these points. And it's just the lack of accountability throughout the 49ers organization to really take accountability for, and you can talk about it from the injury of the portion, all kinds of different angles. You've got the injuries are one of them. It's just kind of like this, it is what it is mentality, and that just doesn't really go anywhere. And you can also take that into post-game press conferences when they lose games, and he's like, well, it's not really my, the quarterback didn't throw the ball where he was supposed to. The tackle didn't block it like it was supposed to. And then you look at the film and it's like, I understand that, but that's just a bad play call in this situation. You shouldn't have been doing that anyway. This situation doesn't call for you to do be meant to say running this play. So, for me, I'm frustrated by the fact that they're not doing team activities this week, even if it's not on the field. They should have guys. There's no reason for Trey Lance to be in Atlanta right now working with Mohamed Sanu out there. He should be in Santa Clara working with Kyle Shanahan and Rich Scangarello, doing stuff on the field with them, in the film room with them, looking at film, and those kind of things. That's
agreed.
So
missed opportunity.
That's really it's missed opportunities. If I was Kyle Shanahan, I would not give up an opportunity to work with my players. So that's part of why it's odd that it's odd that he tried to come out and act like, well, I was going to not do minicamp to begin with anyway, because I felt like we got everything in.
Yep. And the other thing with Kyle, I mean, the way he never takes the hit for his players, like, there's a little bit of feedback. Hold on, let me mute you real quick. Okay. He never takes a hit for his players like McVay does. It's my fault. Even if it isn't, you say it's my fault. And I was thinking like Ferris Bueller. That's one of my favorite movies. It's one of your favorite movies too. You always use the quote, if you don't look, life moves pretty fast. If you don't slow down, you might miss it. Okay. So Ferris Bueller is a coming of age movie. And the climax of the movie is when Cameron destroys the Ferrari and it goes out the window. Okay. To this moment in the movie, Ferris Bueller's been the leader. Cameron has been a whiny little follower, and Ferris Bueller has had to drag him through life to get him out of the bedroom to experience things. And that's a great function for Ferris Bueller that he does for his friend. But at the final moment, Cameron grows up. He knocks the Ferrari out the window, and Ferris steps up and says, "You don't want this, man. I'm going to take the hit. You don't want this. I'll tell your dad. It was me. I forced you. You didn't want to do this. It was all my fault." And Cameron says, "No, I want this. I got to stand up. I want to be a man. I got to be a man. I got to stand up to my dad." And that's what the whole scene, the whole movie was about. It's growing up, being a leader, taking accountability for the sake of it, for the sake of growing up. And I feel like Kyle could learn from that too. Dude, just take the hit, man. Everyone on your team will respect it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's not like he needs to feel like he's going to be diminished in any way. If he admits every once in a while that he makes mistakes, I think people would really appreciate it. I think I'd have a little bit more respect for him if every after a loss, if he came out and instead of throwing the players under the bus all the time, brought up the things that he wished he'd done differently. Because as a head coach, there's not a game that you lose that you walk out and you think, well, nothing of this lays on me. At least I've never been in that situation.
I mean, if at the end of Ferris Bueller, Cameron had walked to his dad and be like, "Dad, it's all Ferris Bueller's fault. I didn't tell him to do this. He came over. He insisted." I mean, you would hate Cameron and you'd think this guy is a weasel. He wasn't worthy of Ferris Bueller's friendship. I hope bad things happen to Cameron, but he didn't do that. That's why when Kyle just weasels out and is like, "Man, I didn't have anything to do with this. This was freak. This was that. This was that." It's like, not impressive, man. You missed an opportunity to be Cameron, to be Ferris Bueller. Do it, man. Come on. Come on.
Yeah. Being able to admit to your mistakes is a strength that I don't think some people really value as much as they should, because that's where you're growing from. You grow so much through your mistakes compared to just sailing through life making all the right decisions.
Yeah, but again, in Ferris Bueller, it was very much Ferris's mistakes, and Cameron was just passive. And what he needed to do at the end was take the hit. He needed to stand up and not blame Ferris and say, "This is Dad, and punish me, Dad. punish me, even though it wasn't all his fault. And Ferris knew he needed to do that. It was a coming of age moment for him. It would be a coming of age moment of Kyle to say the same thing, even if he felt deep down inside it wasn't his fault. Because that's the big distinction between him and Sean McVay. McVay lost the Super Bowl and went on for 10 minutes in the post-game press conference about why it was his fault. Kyle couldn't do that.
That's why Sean McVay's worst season's been 9-7, and his team continues to take risks and do things outside the box that nobody seems to think is going to work out, and it continues to work out year after year for him.
So what we're saying, Kyle, is watch Ferris Bueller again and think about the scene with the Ferrari at the end, because I think you can learn a lot from it. I mean, Ferris didn't think that Cameron had it in him. I didn't think he did either, but he rose up. Yeah, in the span of about 90 minutes, he went very far.
Yes, definitely, for sure.
I love that movie, man. I'm sure all the people here are like 22 years old being like, what the hell are they talking about?
They need to find it and watch it this week.
It's your
homework for next Tuesday.
Absolutely.